All right, peace and welcome. I have not been on for a minute. I've been really busy and just really on impulse decided to come on and really wanted to talk tonight about the uh, upcoming event that we have that's really exciting, that's really important for our health and longevity, and that's the spring equinox. Again, appreciate y'all coming in, joining me. Yeah, so the spring equinox, and specifically what I want to talk about tonight, like I've been really going hard lately on my astrology. For those of you who don't know, I practice Vedic or sidereal astrology. I feel that it is really it's a powerful tool. It's a powerful tool to understand not only our destiny, our karma, personally, but then I also use it in terms of really just having a greater inner understanding of life in and of itself. The map of the stars, I call them. I don't like to call them. Well, I call them the star lords because of their power and influence on our lives daily, in a spiritual, mental, even physical way, in terms of who we are, um, the lives that we live. So really, I've done versions of this video in the past, but because I'm the ever evolving student myself. I feel like I have updated information, updated insight, and I feel that you'll find this useful because when we talk about fasting, which is probably obviously one of the top health healing protocols that one can practice, um, we, one of the things that I've been practicing for a long time, more than 15 years, is fasting 1 day a week. You can call it a 36-hour fast or a 48-hour fast, but at least from the time you wake up in one given day to the time you go to sleep, and then obviously eating that following day, that practice in and of itself, and doing the same day every week, is a very powerful practice. And I wanted to talk about it in an astrological way because one of the things we do in astrology is that is one of the remedies, because obviously you can have trouble with a particular star lord, what you may know as a planet, and I don't like to call them planets because they're not planets, they're star lords. So if you have an issue with a particular star lord, then that's going to manifest in your life. And so I wanted to really go through each star lord and maybe point out some of the areas where that could be having issues in your life. And if that's so, and you want to strengthen or remedy that, then that should be the particular day that you fast on each and every week. All right, let's get into it. All right, so we start with the biggest and brightest, which is the sun, which is actually, ironically enough, the day that I fast on, which is Sunday. And Sunday, it just kind of happened naturally for me to talk about my journey. I may or may not have had issues with the sun as in terms of how it manifests for me. But when I first started making food, the restaurant I was working for was closed on Sunday, so it was just really easy for me to fast on Sunday, and it just kind of stuck with me. I've actually added Saturday, so we'll get into Sunday and Saturday, but we on Sunday right now. So So as far as Sunday, the sun in and of itself as a star lord refers to our Father. Uh, and if you got daddy issues, if you have, if your father's not in your life, if your father's not alive, um, you could have an afflicted son. And again, as an astrologer, if you have an affliction in a certain area of your life, then that's the probably the strongest indication that that particular star energy is afflicted, and that in order to strengthen that area, it would be advisable to fast on that star lord's day. So the sun, of course, that that day being Sunday. So if again, the sun refers to the the father presence in our life, and first and foremost, it definitely refers to other things in terms of within us. It is our own light that we're trying to shine in our lives, which is really reflected in our own personal will, and our energy to want to do things, to want to get anything accomplished. So again, if you have trouble with that, your confidence, their sun refers to more than anything else our ego. So ego, confidence, but again, the clear indication is like that relationship with your own father. And if you have again issues with that, again, and you may not have issues, your father could just not be around, just wasn't a presence in your life, then of course that is a clear indication that the sun is afflicted in your chart. So you probably, if that is the case, then you probably also have issues with confidence, ego, and will, or personal willpower. So then of course it would be advisable for you to fast on a Sunday. All right. Next up is the next star lord up is the moon, the queen of the zodiac. Of course, her day is Monday, and the queen, of course, is the mother. So again, if you got issues with your mom, if your mom's not around, if or your mother wasn't around in the early part of your life, when a mother's role is preeminent, if there's discord, if there's obviously that has disrupted, the mother is the foundation, it's what we come through. uh we breastfeed, so we talking about nurturing, we talking about food, the first food. um we're talking about really that unconditional mother love that is irreplaceable. So if your moon is afflicted, if then, or if you have mother issues, perhaps you may have been adopted, or your mother maybe had untimely death, then the moon in your chart, which in Vedic sidereal astrology we consider the most important star lord. So the moon is the foundation. It is the heart of your personality. It is where a lot of your karma is going to play out. Um, so again, if the moon is if you got mother issues, which means that a lot of people that grow up with maybe mother, um, a trauma with their mother, that's going to have an impact on their entire lives. And of course, there's a lot of healing that needs to take place from that. And one of the things that I would strongly recommend is to fast on Monday. And that would be at the very minimum. Of course, there would be additional counseling and therapy that would have to take place. Um, if there's one star lord you don't want to be afflicted in your chart, it's the moon. The other ones, of course, because the moon is really the foundation. As I said, it is our emotional intelligence. It is our emotional mind. And again, it's where a lot of our karma will play out. And it also shapes who you are as far as your personality. Is way more it has a way stronger impact than the sun. And again, in Western tropical astrology, it's, we tend to focus on the sun sign, which is not an accurate, which is not accurate anyway. But really, way more important is your moon sign. So again, but if you've had mother issues, if you got emotional uh, uh, traumas and things of that nature, your moon is probably afflicted, meaning it is damaged. It's not either in a good sign or it's in a good position, or maybe with Saturn or some other rough star lords. Then it would be strongly advised, to fast on Monday, in addition to other things that can help the healing process. Okay, next up is my personal favorite is Mars. Um, the Star Lord Mars. His day is Tuesday, and Mars refers to our siblings. So if you got siblings issues, then your Mars might be afflicted in your chart. Also, Mars usually, well, of course, Mars is energy, it's action, it's movement. Um, it's my favorite because, well, for a number of reasons, but uh, definitely if you have trouble getting, acting on things, having courage, having no fear, being able to really do things. Obviously, it can make one impulsive, or on the flip side. But obviously, if you've got some issues with siblings, because Mars relates to our siblings, then, or if you have, because you can be non-aggressive or too aggressive. So if you're non-aggressive, or just overly passive, or if you're too aggressive, then of course that also is an afflicted Mars, which is probably worse to be too aggressive than to be too passive. So it would be strongly advisable to fast on a Tuesday. All right, next is Mercury. And Mercury's day is Wednesday, of course. We also call Hump Day. Um, Mercury is all about communication, and Mercury refers to the children. I also like to look at Mercury as also siblings as well, because Mars can refer to more brothers, but Mercury is also our siblings. And But Mercury is probably, out of all of the grahas or star lords, is what I call them, probably the least likely day that I would recommend somebody fast on, um, unless, because Mercury, out of all of the star lords, is the most, in terms of business, making money. Mercury is probably by far the most important star lord. So if you focused on business and making money, and you're really trying to increase that area in your life, then I would, in order to strengthen that, the remedy, of course, would be to fast on a Wednesday. Because it's right in the middle of a work week or a business week. And Mercury also refers to communication, because again, we can't make money without communication. We can't do anything really in life, especially in a business sense, without communicating. I mean, obviously, we need communication to do anything in our lives. So fasting on a Wednesday, but usually there could be a more major star lord that could be more relevant depending on obviously one's unique situation. But Mercury would be the least likely day that I would recommend somebody fast on. um, because Mercury is not, usually fasting is associated with something more spiritual, and Mercury is not really spiritual, at least not as spiritual obviously as like Jupiter, even the moon, um, which is dealing with our mother, of course, which is foundational. But Mercury, again, if you want to really strengthen that communication, because the thing is, like, it's almost like counterproductive to fast on a Wednesday in a sense, because really with fasting, it's like you want to limit communication. You want to go more internal, more within, and Mercury is about really projecting, whether it's our voice or marketing, getting creating opportunities. That's what Mercury is all about. So that's Mercury. Um, we move on to Thursday, and Thursday is Guru's Day or Jupiter, and that's what Jupiter refers to as our guru. Um, we should all have a mentor or mentors or leaders, teachers. We've all had them in some shape or form. And if you have issues with a mentor, you don't have a mentor, a counselor, teachers, if you've had issues in that area of your life, uh, Jupiter Day, Guru's Day, Thursday would be your day to fast. Jupiter is probably, I can make a case that Jupiter, out of the seven, is the most spiritual of the seven. Yes, I think I can get away with saying that. So Thursday would be a highly advisable day. Unlike Wednesday, which is Mercury's day, Mercury is the child. Guru, Jupiter is the guru, is the wise old, knowledge, wisdom bearing guru that gives us the information in a insightful, in a even religious sometimes, but definitely spiritual way. And when we talk about fasting, we talk about even as a weekly sort of health reset. Jupiter is, to fast on Jupiter's day is very powerful, very advisable, especially if you got you've had issues with teachers, with counselors. If you don't make good decisions in your life, then fasting on a Thursday would be strongly advisable. That means your Jupiter is afflicted. So again, I don't have to look at your chart to know, I could just basically look at your life and say, okay, well, these star lords are strong and these are weak, and these are the days, or this is the day that you should fast on. But it would be great for anybody to fast on a Thursday, because Jupiter is the great benefic. And when we say benefic, it's the great giver. It is, everyone loves Jupiter, because Jupiter expands. Jupiter doesn't judge. Jupiter is that, when people have that strong Jupiter energy, they come to because they know they're going to get inspiration. They know they're going to get a good word of advice. And again, if you find that that's missing in your life, you find that you need that guide, that mentor, that counselor, or if you want to increase your intuition, you want to increase basically your decision making, because that's what Jupiter rules, that part of our spirit, to be able to discern and make good decisions. Because they often say Jupiter is good luck, but I don't like that word luck. I think luck is just a result of making good decisions. Certainly we can be at the right place in the right time, but wherever Jupiter is in your life, that part of your life is going to be blessed. And if you feel cursed, or you feel like your life is filled with bad luck, then that would also be a great Thursday would be a great day to choose as your fasting day. All right, let's move on to Friday. Again, Friday like Wednesday, because Friday is Venus's day, and Venus is all about having fun, enjoying oneself, and a lot of times enjoying oneself we enjoy through food. And again, sort of counterintuitive, counterproductive with fasting. Again, like Mercury, because it's like Mercury I see as like the little boy, and Venus is like I see is like the little girl. So Mercury is the prince, Venus is the princess. Again, as Star Lords, they are like children. Again, Jupiter is the wise elder, and Mercury and Venus are the children. So unless you have Venus afflictions, how can Venus afflictions show up in your life? Well, especially for the females, if you've had any type of sexual trauma, if you've had issues around, um, you're just an angry and person, and obviously, again, that will also connect back to the moon, because the moon is our everyday emotional self. So the moon is always foundational, and that's why if the moon is afflicted, it's like the whole chart or the whole person is afflicted, and there's some real healing work that has to take place. But typically with Venus afflictions, it could be really just having a problem with indulging, and that could be in sex, that could be with food, that could be with partying, drugs. These are all your typical Venus afflictions. Um, and it would be good if you've had those issues in your life to fast on a Friday. Friday is a day that if you haven't had that, that is a day to sort of, okay, let your hair down, for lack of a better term, and relax, enjoy oneself. You've been working hard all week, and it's like a time to say, all right, let me enjoy myself. Let me, but not too much. You don't want to get outside of what you normally do. It's like you just want to enjoy some good music. But it's certainly a day to be joyful, to give thanks, for everything, but it's not typically the first or even second day, or even third. It's like kind of like Wednesday, where it wouldn't be, again, unless there's some serious Venus afflictions, that wouldn't be a day I would recommend for anyone to fast on. And it would be really just the opposite. It's like enjoy yourself, have a good meal, good conversation with people, good, enjoy your good relationships you have in your life. But again, Venus affliction meaning you don't have good relationships, because Venus rules the relationships in your life. So if you don't have good relationships, if you've had issues around either overindulging, or you've had trauma with either food and or sex, then that means that the Venus could be afflicted. And fasting on a Friday, in addition to getting counsel and guidance, would be strongly recommended. Now we move on to Saturday, which is Saturn's day. And Saturn would be probably the top or one of the top choices. Saturn represents the elder or the elders in our lives. But even if you haven't had, we should all obviously show reverence and great respect to any elder that's in our lives, because Saturn represents the elders or the older folks that have already, that have the experience and the wisdom. Um, Even if you haven't had issues with Saturn energy, or the way Saturn is represented in your life, Saturn is still a great day, unlike Wednesday and Friday, because Saturn represents discipline, restriction. It represents setback, and it will bless you, because Saturn, people people are often scared of Saturn. They don't like it because, even, we've all experienced Saturn dominant people in our lives. Those are the people that don't give an inch, that don't, that are just like people you don't want to, you ask and they come back with a strong no. And these are the people typically we don't like. Saturn is not here to appease us, to get any points from us. Saturn is here to teach us, and it usually teaches us. It wants to teach us discipline. And one of the strongest things what this whole video about is the discipline of fasting, especially doing a weekly fast. Okay, so to fast on a Saturday would be a strong healing and healthy practice, for one to undertake. Okay. All right. So if there's any, that's the days of the week. Um, each day is ruled by, again, a particular star lord. Again, I've been practicing, just to really, Vedic astrology has been a real blessing for me, a real insightful way that I've grown as a person, to study it as an art form and as a science. And, this, bringing this wisdom into the practice of fasting, I feel is obviously a match made in heaven. And so I hope you, I'm going to leave it there. We got our equinox coming up, and I'll probably be coming on again to talk about that, to talk about, to really inspire you. But, a lot of people consider this to really be the new year. In a lot of ways, that is correct. While the calendar, I do recognize the winter solstice as a beginning, and I do feel like we begin at night. I can definitely vibrate with the idea that things begin in the spring as well. So with the equinox, this would be a great time for a tune-up, for a longer fast in addition to your weekly fast. And I hope that you take this year to incorporate these practices in your life. All right. So if actually, let me see, somebody requested to go live with me. No, I'm just going to keep it short and sweet. And yeah, so if you're on here, if you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the channel, like the video. Yeah, and again, I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna come back on soon. I know I've been missing in action, but I got some great ideas, and I'm gonna keep coming on and keeping this going. So I'll see y'all soon. I'm gonna sign off. Peace and blessings.